Hello dear students, welcome to Shraddha Institute of Civil Services. We are here for you for the announcement of our UPSC English medium batch that will be conducted soon, and it will be targeting on UPSC 2026. So, the student those who are appearing for the UPSC 2026, we have to make certain kind of strategy. We have to give you some information regarding examination, how examination is conducted and how you can qualify the preliminary examination, because preliminary examination is a first step towards becoming IS. There are a number of posts under the UPSC examination. In that post you have IS as a post as far as the first preference is concerned. After that some students will opt for the IFS also, IPS also and other services also. So before that we have to focus on how to deal with the examination. So let us see what is the pattern of the examination, how examination is conducted. I already told you that this examination is conducted in month of May in 2026, going to conduct in 2026. Therefore, we have to make certain kind of strategy for this examination. At the same time, we have to see some kind of trend that was present in the past, how examination was conducted, the kind of question we had in a UPSC examination. We have to go through all this kind of information. So, let us start with the information. So, if you look into the UPSC preliminary examination, it will consist of two papers. First paper is called as GS1 and second paper is called as GS2, also called as CSAT. CSAT stands for Civil Services Aptitude Test. Earlier there was GS1 and there was optional also in preliminary examination, but UPSC decided to implement the paper number 2, what we called as CSAT or GS paper 2. So these two papers are very important to crack the preliminary examination. Therefore, we have gone through this slide so that you can understand that whenever you want to apply for the UPSC examination, you have to crack the preliminary examination, you have to clear both the papers so that you can appear for the mains examination. So, if you look into the paper number 1, what we called as GS paper 1, the duration of the examination will be 2 hours. Total marks will be 200 and number of questions will be 100. That means each question will carry 2 marks. So 100 question will be there and 200 mark will be there. So for that paper we have a negative marking. So what is negative marking? There will be 1/3 of the negative marking. For example, if one question is wrong, 1/3 mark will be deducted. So that is a negative marking for the GS paper 1. So whenever a student want to crack this preliminary examination, he should always think about one thing, that negative marking is there. So earlier people used to follow strategy that they keep on attempting the question without thinking the wrong answer they are going to attempt. But presently we have to think about the accuracy. So therefore the negative marking will have some impact on the students' total preparation. So student always think about the preparation, keep in the mind the negative marking itself, आणि मग त्या पद्धतीने आपल्याला ते निगेटिव्ह मार्किंगच्या अनुषंगानं हे प्रिपरेशन हे करायचं आहे. GS पेपर 1 बद्दल आपण थोडंसं आता एक डिस्कशन केलं की 200 मार्क्सचं टोटल वेटेज त्याला असेल, 100 क्वेश्चन विल बी देअर. सो लेट्स सी अबाउट दी सिलेबस ऑफ दी GS पेपर 1. सो GS पेपर 1 जो आहे त्याच्यामध्ये काय काय सब्जेक्ट आहेत. सो लेट्स सी दिस. जो फर्स्ट पार्ट आहे आपण जर बघितलं याच्यामध्ये फर्स्ट पॉईंट जो आहे तर करंट इव्हेंट्स ऑफ नॅशनल अँड इंटरनॅशनल इम्पॉर्टन्स. So current affairs always have good weightage in UPSC preliminary examination. Current affairs, why current affairs is important? In future, if you look into the civil services, the IS officer or IFS officer or any officer, those who are going to select it through UPSC, it requires whatever happening around himself. So whatever happening in country, whatever happening around the particular officer, what is happening in world also, he should be aware of that. Therefore, there is huge weightage for the current affairs of national as well as the international events. Students generally follow Hindu newspaper. They also follow the other newspapers like Financial Times also. Whenever our news are related with the economics also, and they try to cover as much as information possible. Here at this Shraddha Institute of Civil Services, we provide you the weekly current affairs and the lectures also conducted as far as the weekly program is concerned. That means whatever current affairs that was there in newspaper, in different websites is there. So we are trying to compile within the particular booklet that will be available in the in every month, in every Saturday. So every week, every Saturday we have current affairs session that is very important for the UPSC preliminary examination. So second is history of India and Indian national movement. If you look into the history of India, it is divided into three parts. Ancient is there, medieval is there, modern is there. You have to cover all the three booklets regarding the history subject. For that matter, we have to follow the NCERT along with our class notes. So that will be sufficient for the history as a subject. So Indian and world geography is there. For this also we are providing class notes, as well as you have to follow some NCERT. So that will be very helpful for your overall geography preparation. Along with that, I will suggest you to follow the atlas, because presently if you look into the trend of the UPSC, they are asking so many questions on atlas itself. So mapping is there. So you have to identify the locations, you have to identify the location relevant to the particular area, and for that reason we are following some basic books like NCERT, and along with that we are following the atlas. Obviously we are doing our best to provide you the geography study material which is available in our institute. So next is Indian polity and governance. So not only you have to study Indian polity, but also you have to study the governance. For Indian polity, students should follow the NCERT. Along with that, they can follow the M. Lakshmikant. And for that matter, we have prepared with the best notes as far as the polity is concerned. So article wise we have notes. So you can attempt any question in polity, so that your polity preparation can be easily done. Next is economics and social development. Earlier student to say that okay, economics is there, but not only economics, we have economics as well as the economic development. So what is the difference between economic and economic development? Earlier student used to focus only on subject like economics, but presently what is happening in economy, as far as the Indian economy is concerned, schemes are there, different missions are there, we have to follow that. So any economic aspect related to the upliftment of the society, we have to study that. For that matter, we are also providing good notes. Along with that, you have to follow certain newspaper like Financial Times or Economic Times, that will be very helpful for you. Next is general issues of environment and ecology. If you look into the trend of UPSC and government also is very concerned about the nature. Whatever happening in nature, changes are there, conventions are there, summits are there. We have to go through all these kind of information. I generally ask students to follow the last 4 chapters of NCERT of class 12 standard. Along with that, you have to follow the study material given by the Shraddha Institute of Civil Services. So entire portion can be covered. Along with that, you have to follow some current news that we are providing on every Saturday, so that you can cover entire current affairs related with the environment from that subject, and that will be very helpful for you as far as your preparation is concerned. So next is general science. General science is obviously divided into 3 parts. There is physics, chemistry and biology. If you look into the weightage of the 3 subjects, you will see that biology have a greater weightage compared to other 2 subjects, and most of the questions they ask in preliminary examination, also in mains examination, they are related not only for the as far as the science is concerned, but also related with the science and technology. That means you not only you have to follow the science as a subject, but you have to follow the science and technology. So that is the important thing here we have mentioned. So if you look into the subject wise weightage of GS paper 1, you will realize one thing, that weightage of the subject is equally distributed. I will not say completely equally distributed, but somehow they are trying their best to distribute the subject equally, so that no subject should have or a subject house should get us some extra advantage, or some people with a particular background will get some extra edge. So they try to divide this subject or entire paper into different subject, so that most of the time equal weightage is given. But if you look into the recent trend of 2024, economy is there. For 14 questions they ask, environment and ecology they ask 15 questions, geography they ask 18 questions, history they ask 12 questions, polity they ask 15 questions, science and tech they ask 13 questions, current affairs they are asked 13 question. So if you look into this pattern of the 2024, you will realize one thing, that geography gain most of the importance. Over the years, if you look into the syllabus or any subject, you will see that geography has a good weightage. Along with geography, you have economy is there. Along with that, polity is also there. So these subjects will also get a good weightage. And overall, if you look into the pattern of the GS1 paper, you will see most of the time you have to give equal weightage to all the subject. So this kind of weightage we have seen recent past till 2024. See, there are 13 questions they ask in current affairs, so current affairs also have a significance. So key trends in 2024 आपण जर बघितलं आता 2020 पासून 2024 पर्यंत, तर की ट्रेंड्स काय काय बघा त्याच्यामध्ये आता. Geography and environment consistently appear with 14 to 18 questions annually. Why they clubbed up these two subjects? Because geography and environment are related with each other. So they are asking the questions regarding geography as well as environment. They have a weightage around from 14 to 18 questions for the each subject. So first point is covered. Second is economy remains stable, roughly 14 to 16 question. So they ask around some 14 to 16 question on economics. This year also they asked around some 20 question on economics. So weightage of economics has increased from the year 2024. So to 2024 they asked around some 20 questions. So earlier that they asked some 14 to 16 questions, but you can say overall around some 18 questions they asked in economics and economic development. History is fluctuating higher in 2021 but lower in 2020, 22 and 24. You will see little bit change in history questions, number of questions they have. But obviously in every examination UPSC conduct, they have a good weightage of history. Polity maintain dependable consistency of 14 to 15 question every year. Around some 15 question they ask from the polity itself. Polity is static subject, you can prepare, you can depend upon that subject, so that 15 question at least they can ask from the polity itself. Science and tech obviously shows some variability. In some year they have a lot of questions on science and tech. If the scientific developments are very vast in particular year, they ask around some 14 questions. Even I see some years that only 10 to 12 questions they ask as far as the science and tech is concerned. So there is a little bit variability as far as the science and tech is concerned. So current affairs and other subjects remain integral part of the subject or inter paper I will say. So they ask around some 13 to 18 questions. So that was little bit trend regarding different subject. We already gone through the weightage. So that was a trend about the history, geography, polity, economics, current affairs as well as the science and tech. So strategic insight for the preparation. So how to prepare the GS as a subject to qualify for the mains examination, how to crack the preliminary examination, how to make a strategy for the GS paper 1. So we will go through the points. So we have to focus on subjects like economy, environment, geography, polity, which are pillars of the subject because they are static in nature. Most of the time the weightage is more or less same. Don't ignore history and science and tech, they show variability but still account for the 10 to 15% marks. If you look into the history as a subject, people generally ignore because they think okay, the question will be out of box, but this is not the right thing. You have to follow the ancient history also, medieval history also and modern history also. Along with that you have to focus on science and tech as a subject also. Science and tech, student generally ignores the subject because they think that okay, my background is not from science, but remember they generally ask from science and tech. Any news that comes on the newspaper, it is not fully related with the science but generally related with the science and tech. Therefore we have to go through the science and tech as a subject, not science as a fully as a subject. So therefore some variation might be there, so we have to deal with the subject properly. We should not skip any part, that will be very risky for the students. So extra topics gaining ground in 2025: international relation, art, culture, social issues, specifically geographical categories. If you look at the trend of the 2025, you will see some new variables that has been added into the examination. Trend is changing. So there are some issues regarding international relation also they mention in a UPSC pre-examination. GS1 is concerned. So everything is here given according to the recent trend, and students have to follow this kind of strategy so that they can get good marks in preliminary examination. So summary Stable core zones are economy is there, environment is there, geography there, polity is there. These are called as core zone area. Variable but essential, the part which is variable but we have to cover that, that is history as well as the science and tech. Upward trend, economy is gaining importance over the years because economic activity is going on, our economy is growing, GDP is rising, we are trying to be a third largest economy in the world in next future. We planned for the mission 2047 to make India as a developed country. So for that matter, they are increasing the weightage of economics. And along with that, some static part is there and current affairs there. We should not forget that current affairs have a weightage on different subject. For example, particular news is there. You think that okay, this news is related with the current affairs, but that news is not only covered in the current affairs but also related with the environment also. So current affairs is a kind of subject where you can cover most of the part of the current affairs related with different subject also. For example, there are news from the geography also. You can club it into the geography as a subject, also part of the current affairs. Any event that is happening related with the economy is also part of current affairs, also part of the economy as a subject. So current affairs has such certain kind of flexibility. You can add that subject into the particular core area or you can study differently, it depends upon you, but I will suggest whenever you try to cover the core part of the subject, you try to cover the news also, so that both the parts of the preparation will be completed simultaneously. That means a student if is studying polity and something is happening in polity as far as the current affairs concerned, you should cover polity as well as the current affairs because it will add value in your some preparation. So that is very essential part of the subject is concerned. So final advice is that you should build a solid foundation. Here at Shraddha Institute of Civil Services, we provide you a kind of solid foundation so that you can crack the examination with ease. There are a lot of tests we are going to conduct for the students so that in future they can have extra advantage than the other students. So we have to build obviously solid background for the core subject. Reinforce history and science and tech. We already told you that science and tech and current affairs are variable part. Science and tech is also variable part. History is also variable part. It is keep on changing. Trend is also changing, but we have to deal with that. We have to update the current affairs rigorously. Obviously, we have to include our history as a subject in terms of art and culture. Students generally keep on preparing history as a subject, but they forget to prepare art and culture. But I will suggest you do not miss the art and culture because art and culture is the integral part of our Indian culture. Therefore, we should always remember one thing, that UPSC is very concerned about the including cultural part or art part of the art in your preliminary examination. There are a lot of questions they asked from the art and culture section as far as the history is concerned. So UPSC, if you look into the UPSC Prelims 2025 trend, difficulty pattern, overall GS paper 1 was moderately tough. It was little bit tough. People say that it was compared to 2024, it was little bit tougher. So the trend might have changed in the recent year with sharper focus on conceptual understanding. People say, those who appear for the examination, that the conceptual understanding was very essential. And my own analysis also is that students should not only focus on the area which is core in nature, but area also peripheral nature also, and they not only focus on the static part but also current part, and for that matter they can keep in pace with the current trend that is going on. So therefore the challenging task is we have to adapt ourselves according to changing pattern of the examination. So a mix of single option statement based questions were there earlier. In initial days or initial years, they used to ask some direct questions. After that they went for the analytical question, and right now they are mixing the pattern so that the question won't be you feel difficult as such, but the choosing option is a little bit difficult, which option is correct. So that is the thing that UPSC is evolving, we can say, but we have to adapt according to the changing the UPSC pattern. So subject wise question distribution as far as the year 2025 is concerned, economy they asked 20 to 21 questions. I just told you that this year when UPSC examination was conducted, economics got prominent advantage over the other subject. After that, history is there, 16 questions they asked, polity 13 to 15 questions were there, geography 12 to 14 questions there. Most of the questions were based on the mapping as well as the conceptual understanding. They are asked environment and ecology also. Every year they ask question on environment and ecology. Science and they ask some 13 to 15 question. IR they ask 6 question. This is very prominent change that this year IR they got some 6 marks weightage. So that is very remarkable change, I will say. So miscellaneous society scheme they ask some 6 to 14 questions. So you cannot add this point in different or subject, but this is a different part what we called as miscellaneous part. So that was the weightage of different subject as far as the preliminary examination of 2025 is concerned. So if you look into some points we already discussed, that geography has shown some little bit complexity, environment was dominant, shift to concept to application. There are some changing in the subject of the core areas like geography, science and economy, and environment also. They are shifting their trend what was earlier. So diversification is there, evolving formats are there. So students have to change the pattern of their study also according to changing pattern of the UPSC. So the crux of the GS paper 1 was that if you want to prepare this examination for 2026, so you have to evolve your study according to changing pattern. You have to make some changes in your preparation strategy. You have to solve as much as question as possible. You have to cover current affairs as much as possible. So this is a important point we should remember as far as the preliminary examination 2026 is concerned. Okay, so these are some strategies that we can go for. So last strategy we can follow because most of the point we already covered. So practice emphasis, assertion, reasoning, matching and multi-statement questions, mock tests with these formats will help. Obviously practice makes man perfect. So any examination if you want to crack it, you have to solve as much as question as possible. So whenever you enter into examination hall and try to solve the paper, you should not feel unaware about the question. You should feel familiar about the question. So that is the main reason behind solving as much as question as possible. So the bottom line is UPSC is signal shift toward the conceptual depth, analytical reasoning and application heavy questioning. So UPSC is changing, I already told you, conceptual questions are there, understanding based questions are there, and we have to change accordingly. So now right now we should discuss the GS paper 2, what we call as CSAT. CSAT have a duration of 2 hours. It will have marks around 200, but the questions are 80 because each question will carry 2.5 marks. So the negative marking is already there. We already mentioned the negative marking. For the both the paper GS1 as well as GS2, we have a negative marking of 1/3. That means any wrong answer will deduct 1/3 mark from the right answer. So and this paper is qualifying in nature. You have to score around some 66 marks, that means out of 200. So that is qualifying in nature. These marks won't be calculated as far as your selection for the mains is concerned. That means GS paper 2 or CSAT is qualifying in nature. Student have to score at least 66 marks in GS paper 2 or CSAT as a paper. So syllabus for the GS2 or CSAT is comprehension. Comprehension, read the passage, answer the following question is like comprehension part. We have around some 35 to 40 question or percentage of weightage is there out of the 80 questions. So student have to practice the paragraphs according to them. According to paragraphs they have to solve the questions. Questions won't be that easy. It should depend upon the conceptual clarity of the paragraph. Sometimes the paragraphs are taken from the newspaper, sometimes the paragraphs are taken from the different books of the authors itself. So there are a lot of sources UPSC follows to select the paragraphs, but you should have some conceptual understanding about the particular paragraph so that you can answer the question easily. So logical reasoning and analytical ability is there, basic numeracy is there. So basic numeracy will have some kind of toughness what we call as class 10 level toughness. So any student, those who appeared for the 10th standard mathematics, they can easily solve, but sometimes it's very difficult to solve the numerous if you don't have any practice. So it requires some practice, obviously. So data interpretation is there. Data interpretation means what? A certain kind of data is given in the form of charts, graphs, tables. Data sufficiency is there, whether that data is sufficient to get your answer. So this kind of question they will ask in data sufficiency. In data interpretation, you have to follow the chart, you have to follow the pie chart, you have to follow the table. According to that, you have to analyze the question, and for that matter you have to answer the question. So this also requires some practice. So CSAT is fully depend upon the practice itself. The kind of practice you are doing for this examination as far as GS2 is concerned is very important. I suggest student to solve at least 20 questions of CSAT, at least I will say. They can solve more than that also, but at least 20 questions or 20 question papers I will say they have to solve throughout their preparation. And each paper you have to go through the logical understanding about the kind of question they ask, conceptual clarity should be there. So this kind of strategy you can follow for this GS paper 2, what we called as CSAT. So over the years, if you look into the trend, people are not able to qualify the GS paper 2 itself. Since they are not able to qualify the GS paper 2, they are not able to appear for the mains. Even if their score is good in the UPSC Prelims examination, GS paper 1 is concerned. So it is very difficult for the student, those who do not have that much background regarding the mathematics or logical reasoning, or do not have a conceptual clarity. It is very difficult for them to qualify the preliminary examination and appear for the mains examination. So my suggestion to you is, for the GS paper 2, you have to do as much as practice as possible, so that your GS paper 1 also get some kind of weightage and some kind of benefit, so that you can easily qualify for the mains examination. So this is the trend of CSAT paper, what we call as GS paper 2 in recent years, recent 5 to 6 years. If you look into the UPSC 2020, the paper was little bit moderate. 2020 was moderate to hard. 2022 it was tough. 2023 it was very tough. 2024 it was very tough. 2025 it is moderate and tough. So these are some pattern, but in general you can say the paper of GS2, or we can call it as CSAT paper, the difficulty level of paper is moderate to tough. So you have to practice a lot of questions. Once your practice is done, you can find that paper very easy. So if you look into the key highlights of the paper, the recent year balance but time management was crucial. Student find the paper a little bit difficult, and the crucial point was time management. So for this examination, not only understanding of the question, understanding of the concept is essential, but time management also essential. Trend summary. If you look into the trend or summary of the trend, you will see increase in difficulty level in 2026. Since 2021, the difficulty level has increased. Emphasis on comprehension, basic numeracy. If you look into the CSAT paper, the emphasis given on comprehension as well as the basic numeracy and logical reasoning. I already told you that many aspirants failing despite GS success due to CSAT neglect. Sometimes students neglect the GS paper 2 and they think that okay, I do have a background about CSAT. I already gone through the different kind of competitive examination. I know how to solve the mathematics, I know how to solve the reasoning, but sometimes it will be very difficult for them also to qualify the CSAT paper. So the selection is difficult to achieve. Therefore, students not only have to focus on GS paper 1, but they also have to focus on GS paper 2. So equal weightage should be given both for the paper 1 as well as the paper number 2. Preparation strategy. So as far as CSAT is concerned, you know your weaknesses. Every student know whether they are good at comprehension, whether they are good at logical reasoning, whether they are good at basic numeracy. So we have to find out our strength and weaknesses. So what we called as strength, weaknesses analysis. So for that matter, we have to go through our analysis, and according to that we have to start preparing for the CSAT. Comprehension practice 5 to 10 questions every reasoning comprehension je ahe, you have to solve that question paper every day. Quantity activities there, revise class 6 to 10 NCERT mathematics. Some students will find themselves in difficult situation for revising mathematics, so they have to go through the basic books of class 6 to 10th, what we call as NCERT. Once the foundation is there, they can solve the PYQs. So for that matter you have to do what? The practice only. So some NCERT sources are there. We also provide you some study material regarding the CSAT paper is there. So mock test we have to follow. Full mock test you have to follow, or you have to solve every week, so that your practice makes you perfect. So that is the best strategy for qualifying the CSAT paper. Some tips are there. CSAT is qualifying, you have to score at least 66 marks out of 200. Never ignore it, especially if you are from non-maths or non-engineering background. Many aspirants clear GS but fail to CSAT. We already gone through this information. Important note is there, the marks of the preliminary examination not counted in the final examination. Obviously preliminary examination is just for qualifying for the mains examination. The kind of marks or whatever marks you get in mains examination, after that you get marks in interview, all the marks will be calculated in your final merit list. So why prelim is so crucial? Because it makes you to write the mains examination. So for that matter preliminary examination is very important. A lot of competition is there, so very few students appear for the mains examination. If you want to confirm your seat for the mains examination, then you have to qualify the preliminary examination. So let's go through the previous year cutoff. If you look into the general category cutoff of the previous year, you will see in 2019 the cutoff was 98, in 2020 the cutoff was 92.51, in 2021 the cutoff was 87.54, and so on. But if you look into the year to 2023, you will see there is a drop of cutoff which was 75.41 marks, and in 2024 the cutoff was 87.98. So there are variations as far as cutoff is concerned. I always tell my student that they should not worry about the cutoff, rather they should worry about their preparation. As far as their examination is concerned, they should worry about their practice, they should worry about their revision. And if you keep on doing the same task again and again, for example revision, it is obviously going to give you some extra edge. So the basic motive behind this video series is that you should go for the UPSC 2026 examination. You should fill the form for the UPSC examination as soon as the forms get released in month of December or January. So you always try for the class 1 examination, so that the future will be bright. In future we are going to launch the UPSC English medium batch, so you can contact us, the links are given below. You can join our Telegram channel Shraddha Institute of Civil Services. You can also join us on the YouTube channel called as Shraddha Institute of Civil Services. So you can have a lot of information about this examination. Whole motive of covering this video was to make you sure that we are going to conduct such a kind of program for the students which will help them for the future examination. The examination target is UPSC 2026. Thank you.